awkward silence, right? It's 7:30. We'll call the meeting to order with a pledge of allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Clerk Cody, would you do a roll call of the board, please?
Supervisor Mulkey.
Here.
Treasurer Rogers.
Here.
Trustee Lannon.
Here.
Trustee Lay.
Here.
Trustee Thering.
Here.
And Clerk Cody here. Everybody's here.
All present. 6.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Make a motion to approve the agenda?
Support?
Motion by Thering, support by Cody. Any discussion? One item on there. We're all good? All in favor of the motion to approve the agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Agenda passes unanimously as presented. That brings us to public comment, which is restricted to 3 minutes regarding items on this agenda. If you choose to address the public, please state your name and address for the record. And with that, we'll open up public comment at 7:31 p.m.
There's nobody online.
Let the record show nobody's connected remotely. I'm assuming the two that are here for our business item. So seeing no one coming forward, we will close public comment at 7:31 p.m. That takes us to our new business. I just have to apologize for my voice up front. I don't know if you can tell, but I'm a little congested, so it's kind of hard to talk. But I'll do my best. I will do my best. I might just hand it off to you. Who knows? Let's see. Just for the public, we had Trustee Jeff Brown leave the township and therefore have to resign his post. And per state law, it's up to this board to appoint someone until the next election, which is November.
Well, there's still primary, so August.
Yeah, but they retain the office until November 20th.
Yes,
But
true.
yes, of this coming year. So if we don't appoint, then I believe the county clerk at that point calls a special election. But this board has decided that we would like the opportunity to look at appointing someone. We went out for applications. We received 2 applications. Both of those applicants are here in our presence, and I want to thank them both for, one, serving on Planning Commission. That's an awesome board to serve on. 2, applying, and 3, for being here tonight. So with that, I'm going to talk to the board here first briefly. My thoughts were that we would allow them to each just introduce themselves individually. And then my understanding from this board is they would like the opportunity to ask questions of the applicants, correct? So with that, Trustee Thering asked me earlier today, and if I get this slightly wrong, forgive me, correct me, was concerned about how we decide who goes first or second, and he suggested a coin flip. So before the meeting, Mr. Ulver called heads on a flip of the coin, and it was tails. So we're going to ask Mr. Hayes to introduce himself first. But before you get up, is there any parameters that this board would like to discuss and or express to our candidates?
So, at this meeting here, we may or may not make a decision on filling the seat.
We should.
We should.
We need to.
Yeah, we'd have it till the 17th, basically.
It does not have to be unanimous to.
Correct.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. Must make 4 votes for
Gotcha.
any motions to pass.
Correct.
And how about, how will this work? Someone could make a motion for a candidate, and they could, get the majority vote. Is that the way we're gonna go, or are we going to maybe put down our first and second choice and do a tabulation and that be the way?
That's
Because
up to,
I almost
that's
think
up to
it's-
us as a
it's-
board.
Right. and
There,
that's
there
what
is
I'm
no, there is
asking.
no requirement state law wise on how we do this process. Ultimately, we have to have a motion at the end of the day. And whether we do that through a process, like you just described, which is, like ranked voting kind of thing is, I
Yeah.
think what you were
I just
suggesting.
kinda think sometimes, I'm going to assume I could really, before knowing anything, just what I've seen up to this point, I could probably vote for either candidate. And so just whoever comes out of the gate first with a nomination, I think that person is likely to get it. So I almost think it'd be more fair for everybody to do a rank and just see what the total ends up as.
Thoughts?
I would not have an issue with that.
I think that's a fair,
I think both gentlemen are, well, anytime we've had one of these, we've had awesome people come forward. It would be kinda nice for for everyone to have an opportunity. So this actually, to your point, gives them that opportunity.
Any objections to this?
So there wouldn't be a motion until that vote was taken.
Correct. That's what I'm hearing
Yes.
is
So
we wouldn't
the
take
way
motion. And
I
then the
would've-
idea is that the motion would then be made based on the consensus of the board.
Yeah, I would view it as Lori, say candidate A received the majority votes. And so then after doing that, I would think the motion would be,
Yep.
saying candidate A.
Yep.
And then we would either approve or disapprove.
What if
That
it's a
makes
tie?
sense. I'm sorry?
What if it's a tie?
Then we deal with that.
Okay, good. I was just saying, what if it's a tie?
Yeah, I mean, that's possible, absolutely.
Okay.
Especially with just an even number of us here.
Yeah.
it's very plausible. Let's cross that bridge when we get
All
to
right,
it.
so, like ranked voting typically,
What, do we flip a coin?
Yeah, well, if it's a tie, flip a coin. I say we do it that way.
Oh,
Well,
joking. I was joking.
That's what they do when it's a tie in the election. They
we
flip a
could,
coin.
let's, like.
Oh,
we'll cross that bridge.
One bridge at a time.
Yeah, so, in ranked voting, typically, if you've not done it before, you'll rank your number one candidate, and in this case, number two candidate, and that's all we have at this point. Or, I guess you could say, none of the above. So we'll assign numbers to each of the candidates, 1, 2, and 3, meaning none of the
Well,
above.
we have Mr. Hayes as number one, because he's coming up first.
Okay,
If for the sake, if this is the
Right.
way we vote.
Yep.
okay.
Number two is Mr. Olver.
Yep.
If that's how we decide to proceed.
That makes sense.
But
If
I
we-
think what Brian was saying, like, if you are candidate A and you received the second place vote, you would be assigned a number two from that person. And if you're candidate B and I said, you're my number one vote, then A would have a 2, B would have a 1. And the way it was done in the past here was the person with the least score is the person who got the most votes.
And I think for clarity, we use their
Oof.
names as
I'm a little
1 and 2.
confused.
Yeah,
I
think-
apologize, I'm confused.
I don't think,
I would say we write their names for clarity and
Yeah.
rank them 1 or
Yeah.
2.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
yeah,
First choice or second choice.
Yeah, with
Okay.
like with ranked choice voting, if like say candidate Bob Smith gets 4 votes and the other 4 first place votes and candidate John Smith gets 2 of the 2 votes, then first candidate wins.
But
But-
as you kind of threw in there, candidate 3 is no vote, so it's possible you could put just one person's name down as well.
okay, so if we get a tie, then we have discussion?
I would recommend, I'm gonna recommend that if you vote number 3, that you don't rank anything else. That's a, you don't feel either candidate is a good fit. Otherwise, you could use that to
So you're suggesting we'll each put down both names,
Both.
or we'll put no name?
Yes.
I would be fine with that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anything else on that?
I think that
Any
works.
comments you'd like to make to our applicants before they?
Thank you. This is a good problem to have. We have two very qualified candidates, and this is a good problem.
Agreed.
Yes.
So, Mr. Hayes, if you're willing, you don't have to spend a lot of time, but if you can introduce yourself a little bit to the board and.
Yeah, that's right. I will say that typically in football, if you win the coin toss, you defer to the second half and go second. And that's okay. I'm not going to go into that detail. So I'll introduce myself. Hi, my name's John Hayes, and as some of you know me, working with me professionally, passing around town. But I came here in Union Township 4 years ago after the passing of my father-in-law, Matthew Mertz. Some of you might know he was a member of the Human Rights Committee here. He was the only town, I can't think, why can't I think of Constable, write-in candidate. He was a great guy, did a lot of work for the township. And when he passed, we inherited his house and moved out here. And civic duty was a huge passion of his, and it was something he talked about for 20 years of knowing him. I was updated on all the ICTIC boards, all the different boards that were going on here in Union Township. So it was something that was always in my mind, but not right in my face. And as soon as I moved out here, I got involved as quickly as I could. I applied to 3 different boards in Union, not in Union Township, but in Isabella County. I ran for election last year for Isabella County Commissioner in District 4. I've been lucky enough, it's one of the great things of coming to a small town like this. When I grew up in Boston, it's very dense, very heavy. There's a lot of opportunity, but a lot of competition, to be involved and to be part of different groups and organizations and help on a level that we're able to out here. And that's something that really appealed to me, was that I was so able to get involved in the 2 years that I've been involved in public work, to be in the position now to be applying to you guys. My history, I don't know if you guys want me to get a little bit more into introducing like my resume and stuff like that, what I do professionally, but just personally, I went to school for music performance, and then later for childhood education. I work in advocacy for children. I work in advocacy here now on different issues that are facing our Union Township, and I'd be happy to go more into detail on. I do some public serving on public boards. I'm on the board for the Broadway downtown. It's actually chaired by a former trustee member here, Bill Micus. I put him down in my resume because I think he's a great guy, and he shows he really brings what I like a lot about this board and the way it runs is efficient, it is professional. You guys do a great job on so many different levels here. I enjoy working professionally with the people that I have. I work with Rodney in the planning committee, and there's a lot that I like about spending time dedicating my efforts to this township. And given the chance, I celebrated my track, but I'd definitely be looking to run for this position come September, or I guess we'll be doing April, but I'll be running for this position come December if appointed, and probably running again for this position come 2028. I had a couple different things that I've been looking at my calendar to try to have what to do for the next election cycle, but I really like the way this board, this township runs, and I'd love to dedicate my time and effort to it.
Awesome.
All right.
Thank you, John.
Thank you.
Please. Is it okay if I call you two by your first name?
That's fine.
Okay. Thank you, Tom.
So I'm Tom Olver. I'm married to Stephanie. Stephanie is a second grade teacher over at Vowles Elementary. We're raising 4 sons here in Union Township. We bought our farm and our home in 2023. And it's been a wonderful experience. I actually lived just down the road on Pickard, a guest of Bob Wheeler during my United Way days. And I lived right there for about 3 years and then got married. And Steph and I bought a house out at Lake Isabella. And in 2023, the opportunity came up to buy the farm and fulfill our dream. And so now we get to raise our boys there. And from all indications, we're here for the duration. Our youngest this will be interesting because you were talking about the coin toss and votes and whatnot. Ezra gave me this tie. It's his tie for good luck tonight on my way out the door. So if we end up in a tie, when I get asked why I want to serve, the answer is very clear for me. It's a lifetime of dedicated service to different organizations and entities that have captured my passion and enthusiasm. And I think about my 4 sons and the legacy that I want to leave for them. I want to leave for them a better Union Township, but I also want to teach them what it's like to be an active member of one's community. Not long ago, I heard a really good talk from John Lynch, who is the head of Three Rivers Construction, and the title of his talk was, "Are you a citizen or do you just live here?" And that strikes me as a very important lesson for all of us to think about how we can give back and make our communities better. And during 6 years of leading the local United Way, I focused on quality of education and quality of health and quality of economic opportunity to enhance quality of life. At Mid-Michigan College, as the head of the foundation, it was about financial oversight, policy governance, and getting the right people in the right spots in boards and committees to serve and give back. And it was really about making sure that folks in our community had access to good quality education and could get into school to change the trajectory of their lives. I learned very early on in the Boy Scouts the value of doing a good turn daily and giving back and making a difference in people's lives. And so that's why I'm here. That's why I wanted to join the Planning Commission, to learn more about how the township works and how I might contribute. And I think the last 26 years of service, I think I would be a great addition to your board because this is a passionate group of people who gives up an evening like tonight when you're not normally scheduled to meet to come and talk to great people like John and myself to see how we might be able to serve. And it's an honor to be considered, and I thank you for your time.
Thank you, Tom. All right, with that, I'm happy to open the floor up to all of you. My assumption is you have some questions for the candidates.
Their applications were pretty thorough.
Yeah, I would agree. I think it was Trustee Lay that said 2 great candidates. I think both are qualified. They both served on the Planning Commission, which is a great precursor to this kind of board.
I do not have any questions. I've had the opportunity to work with both gentlemen, so I've seen them, how they operate during the meetings and the questions that they ask and the different points of view, so my experience is, I just don't have any questions for the gentleman.
All right, so John, you came up first. So I'll ask Tom this question first, because I'm going to ask both of you. And if I ask a second question, I'll try to reverse it so that, because you always have the advantage of going second, right? Is always. So Tom, describe your experience in the Planning Commission, and what do you like about it? What don't? Where do you find difficulty in it, or, for lack of a better term, frustration if you ever have it? Can you just describe that a little bit?
Sure. So it's been almost 2 years now, and those that were in the position to do so, thank you for that appointment and the opportunity to serve. Coming into a new entity, I had a lot of experience with some corporate boards and a number of nonprofit boards, but not governmental ones. And when I think about the master's program that I did through Indiana University, we talked a lot about how the 3 sectors intersect to make life better for all of us. And so when I think about how the Planning Commission operates, for me it was a little bit foreign coming in because so much is prepared by the staff within the guidelines of policy and governance. And you were asked as a community member, not necessarily whether or not you liked an idea, but whether or not it met the criteria. And from what I read of the policy manual for this board, that's how this operates. One of the boards I serve on right now, our chairman has a great saying, and it's, as a board member, your responsibility is to have your nose in, but your fingers out. You need to be paying attention to what's happening, your fiscal, fiduciary responsibility, the policy governance, et cetera. But it's not your job to change things, at least in terms of active work. That's the staff. And it seems to me like Union Township is operating very well in that model, where the board provides guidance to the manager, who provides guidance to the staff. And that's really a uniform thing that I've seen in my experience with corporate and nonprofit boards as well. I think my frustration, I was going to call you Brian, but I noticed in these you're supposed to say Supervisor Milton. What I think my frustration was early on was not having a thorough understanding of all the policies, because there was a lot to digest in a short period of time, and yet a desire to jump in and be active and contribute. And so it took me a little time to wade through and understand how the system works. And I think that's essential to good board service, is giving the appropriate amount of time to be able to serve properly and not just dive in and try to be a bull in a china shop type of thing. And so that's a frustration, but it's been a joy. The collegiality of the Planning Commission, I think, is outstanding. And I talked to several of you who have been on the Planning Commission. You say it's my favorite board, which kind of makes me wonder a little bit. How you're recruiting me to serve on this one. So, yeah. But it's been a wonderful experience, learning more about it. I think another frustration that I'll share is the Planning Commission gets to make recommendations to this board, but doesn't actually get to vote on those recommendations. And so I think that's where, as the next level of my service to the township, I'd like to be a stronger voice at the table. And I think this might provide that opportunity.
Thank you.
Yeah, Tom talked a lot about, the board is a great place to learn about governance, the interdepartmental working of this and planning commission, because I think when you come into this, you don't really understand how all these different organisms run into each other. Okay, you want to improve the water, you want to clear up, everybody talks about Union Township and the water, wanting to get it better, nicer, cleaner. You have people complaining online, people worrying about these facilities. But the actual machines and mechanisms to get these things going takes so many different interdisciplinary people working together. And I brought this up earlier, that planning board is really where you can learn how these organisms work together and how to make sure that a township, when run correctly with good zoning, good laws, can balance out, I think, the needs of businesses and individuals and really serve the people of the township the best they can. And that's what I saw in this. And I think if I had any frustrations when it comes to the planning board, when it comes to that, is I think maybe what Tom said is that there's a lot of that you're kind of a pass-through. People are bringing projects to you, you're looking them over, making sure they're crossing the proper bylaws, making sure the fire lanes are going correctly for the new, batting cages they want to open up. But again, so much of that is handled by Rodney. But I think in these spaces now, and working with local organizations that deal with poverty and deal with inequity in Union Township, I want to have a better say on, not the hands-on, because that's done by the township, but on the bigger governance and I would say the vision of the township to try to provide for the people in this town that are struggling so much right now. And there's a reason why I would like to get on the board, is to be able to bring another voice to the table for the people that are really suffering right now in Union Township.
Thank you. I'm not looking at you, James.
I might just stare at you, though, just make you uncomfortable.
Trustee Landon? You have any questions?
I do. Just to let you know, I have like 3 or 4.
Okay.
Ready, go.
But I'll start with one. And possibly my shortest question. Sure. Thanks, John. You read the rules and you're prepared.
It's hard enough to keep my mouth closed last meeting when I came. We all played planning commission talk and
So the first question I have for the candidates is, in a word or short sentence, please state what you consider your most important personal value or principles you bring to this board.
I guess my principle, that really, that's a deep question, Tim. Trustee Mann, thank you so much. To touch on what I just finished my last meeting, it's really on inequity and need and poverty in our township. It's something that's, I don't know, maybe this one coming from out of state, coming from a different place. I came from Boston where we had, one thing you always hear people complain about in college is Massachusetts. The taxes are so high, so much, but you also had good services that took care of people that were in need. And those things come by researching all different venues and resources to get that tax revenue in, so you can, provide counseling. You can have more social workers, run by the town or by the staff or on the police force. And I think if there's something that I want to bring to this township is to make sure that those people are served as best they can by the board.
Thanks, John.
I presume the same question?
And I'll repeat it for you, Tom, if you'll allow me. In a word or two, please identify what you believe is your most important principle or value you'll bring to this board.
Now, I will mention that I had 3 or 4 extra minutes, so I apologize for being able to just jump into my answer. But I think it's cooperation, and I'm reminded of a saying that cooperation makes strength. And with boards like this, yes, there can be contentious issues, there can be differences of opinion, but we're all friends and neighbors at the end of the day, and we're working to make a better quality of life for our community. And I think if we keep that in mind, then our cooperation makes for a stronger community. So that's the value that I would focus on.
Nice, thank you.
You're both quick studies. Trustee Lake?
Oh,
Trustee
Tim,
Lamb?
he's got like a list.
Oh, I mean,
Go ahead.
Oh, no,
somebody
no,
else
no,
has got
no.
something.
Yeah, might as well.
Okay.
well, I'll give you a second one.
I'm just
That'll
thinking.
be enough of me talking for
Okay.
a minute, I'm sure. Second question. 5 years ago today, the United States Capitol building, filled with public servants, including the United States congressional members, as they were in session, was attacked. The building was breached by American citizens rioting, which placed all the building's occupants in harm's way, resulting in 174 police officers injured and 5 people's death within 36 hours. So, with that as a background, what philosophical impact or guiding attitude have you internalized from this event 5 years later?
Yeah, that was a scary day, for sure. When you think about the history of our democracy and how we're supposed to behave and how we're supposed to act, it was very unsettling to see all of the video and the pictures and the stories coming out of Washington that day, especially in the context of the election and unrest with, again, differences of opinion. And I think we have a responsibility as members of a community, whether it's a national community, a global community, to have a responsibility to one another first and foremost. And that has to do with safety. And you wouldn't want to see people storming in here. We've seen situations at the state capitol in recent years where there has been anything but peaceful protest. And so, from my standpoint, the safety of our team and our community is first and foremost, and making sure that we have provisions in place not only for handling emergencies, but also for providing an opportunity for everyone to share their thoughts and opinions, even when we disagree, and to do it respectfully. And when Supervisor Milke and I were talking initially, it was, we speak with one voice. We may not agree in the boardroom. We can all watch the video and see who said what and that sort of thing, but at the end of the day, when the board comes forward with a policy or an initiative or a direction, is a group decision that should be respected by everyone on the board.
Thank you.
That's my operating philosophy.
Yeah, thanks.
Thanks for the question.
Understood. You're welcome. John, I'll repeat half the question.
In with all the fluff questions tonight.
I gave you the background. I'm sure you're well aware what's happened 5 years ago today. So the basic question is, what philosophical impact or guiding attitude have you internalized from this event 5 years later?
I'm going to try to take my answer, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, you're in a vein of someone who comes from public service and safety. I know you serve as a firefighter. You're out there in the front lines each day dealing with the public and trying to help them. I'm vast different degree, like myself, I was a lifeguard for 20 years, so I understand moments coming in and having to step in, having to be part of events like that when they happen. I mean, fascist storm the White House, it was a horrible day for America. But in that too, we've also seen, I think, in general, we look at the demonizing of people that serve in those positions of trying to protect people, trying to ensure safety for others. It's not something that was limited to that. You know, you can see that philosophy around when you go into a mid-Michigan hospitals, you know, it's not by accident that they now have those signs up saying we're not here to be abused, we're not here to be, you know, assaulted. Like, there is a concern, I think, for public safety when it comes to public officials that needs to be taken real, you know? But I feel like, I know from this board, we are far removed from Washington, you know? That's not something that I know see coming in the door here, but it's something to always be cautious, always be aware of, and always be understanding that those threats, I think, maybe could be around the corner. And that, yeah, working together, working with respect, working with understanding, that's the only way we can really move forward and make anything improve in public service. I'll stay here because I think I can.
Thank you.
I have a two-parter, but they kind of go together, so I'm going to give them both to you.
Okay.
And then I'll repeat one, and then I'll repeat the other one if you need me to. Okay. So part one is, what do you think is Union Township's greatest asset? And the follow-up is, where do you think Union Township has the greatest potential for growth?
Let's kind of play into each other. I mean, I think our greatest potential to growth is maybe coming along with what some of our greatest assets, and this might strike other people as silly, but I really like bylaws that are in depth and have weight to them, because I feel like they really lead to less work from us, you know? It leads to better understanding from developments that are coming in and business that want to expand. It leads to great guidance when it comes to how we want to put our priorities when it comes to economic development or people's quality of life or the environmental status that we want to keep with us. We are in a great place, and you can see from some of the discourse online that there are a lot of people that would like our rules to be a lot looser so that they could get in and develop any way they like. I grew up in Boston. Go down to Cape Cod. Okay, you have a Dunkin' Donuts. Everybody know what Dunkin' Donuts is?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Dunkin' Donuts looks like a Cape house. It has shingles on the outside, a nice thatched roof. You go to McDonald's, it looks like a little Cape home, you know? And these because there's standards put on the people that are run there because they know that in a quality town with good jobs, good economic development, that it's worth it for them to try to bring themselves up to our standards rather than try to let whatever business will try to bring in, which is, I mean, usually the lowest standard possible because that needs more money. You know? So I think one of our greatest stuff is really our staff and the work they've done and put into this township. We're in a great place to develop, and you can see it from our housing needs. You know, we have just as big a deficit as Mount Pleasant. You know, people want to live here. They want more development. They want it to be done right. Is that both? I think I did both.
Yes.
Okay,
Thank you.
good job.
Would you like me to re-ask it, or?
Please do.
Okay.
Please do.
Part one, what do you think is Union Township's greatest asset? And the follow-up is, where do you think Union Township has the greatest potential for growth?
Greatest makes it tricky, right? Because then you got to pick one, right? And so I think I'll try to go greatest with a wide net. Is that fair?
That's valid.
Yeah. So I think the greatest asset that we have is our people. because without our people, it really doesn't make any difference. We have great people serving on boards and commissions and committees and being involved in their community. There are a lot of folks that haven't taken that opportunity yet. And so that is a chance for us to engage more people in our process and be more open and more welcoming and provide that connection that keeps people here. You know, I would echo what John said about economic opportunity, about housing. There's so much that I think we can do with our policies and with our approach to make sure that there is opportunity for more people to be successful in our community, so that they're not only staying here for long periods of time, as my family and I have chosen to do. We're here. We've made this our home. Anywhere in the country we could go, we're in Union Township because we love it here. Our family is here, our university is here, we have great schools here, we have wonderful businesses. There's a quality of life here. We want to maintain that. And that's part of my interest in serving on the board, is to make sure that that quality of life not only maintains for my children and for the children of our community, but also increases and improves exponentially, so that they will want to continue to live here for the next generation and the next generation and the next generation. And if we can do that at the end of the day, leave a board meeting and know we've made this a little bit better, then we've done our jobs.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll pass for a second, if I may.
Trustee
Tim?
Landon, you had another?
Yeah, sure. As a Union Township Planning Commissioner, you reviewed and proposed a text amendment regarding home-based occupation for firearm dealers. In summary, the recommendation was to replace the term gunsmith with firearm dealer. 2 was to eliminate the public hearing special use permit approval requirement for the firearm dealers. And 3 was to prohibit certain activities that are not appropriate in a residential neighborhood as a home-based firearm dealer. So, focusing on parts 2 and 3 of that a little closer, I would wonder why you would support eliminating the standard special use permit required process for a home-based firearms dealer.
That's a great question, Commissioner Lynn, and I believe I struggled with it as you and others did and have, because you have a safety consideration, certainly for the neighborhood. And that's where my struggle was a bit in reviewing the language and making a recommendation back to this board about it. In terms of the language gunsmith and firearms dealer, I think there's something in the language about dealer, that there is a transactional component there that becomes a greater awareness, I think, for people if they know that it's a transactional item that's happening within their neighborhood. The regulations that we were shared, the federal regulations, seem to provide enough protection within that. And the Planning Commission, at least from my vantage point, talked mostly about the safety and security of that home-based business and not having folks know that there's a lot happening within there. And so I understood the staff's recommendation for removing the special use permit and followed the line, I think, with the Planning Commission discussion in making that recommendation back to the Union Township Board. But please know I did struggle with it as well.
Okay.
As one who has children, whose wife is a teacher in the schools, and who's practically scared to death every time I drop them off and send them to school, because you see what's happening all over our country, and that makes me very, very nervous. So it's a challenging issue to be sure.
And I'm asking the question actually to learn a little bit more as a board member as I move forward on this. And I know both of you were involved with a lot of discussion on it. So part 3 that I brought up was it talked about prohibiting certain activities that are not appropriate in a residential neighborhood as a home-based firearm business. So I was curious, what activities were found not appropriate, therefore will be limited as that firearm dealer?
To be honest with you, I can't answer that question because I'm not sure what was included in that outside of any legal bounds. I don't recall there being a specific discussion about things that a home-based gun dealer could not do that was not covered by the federal regulations.
I think that may have been the wording at the time, was that was any prohibited items, which are items that were prohibited under the Federal Firearms Regulation Act. Like, we kind of used that as a chance to try to make sure that it wasn't specified, I think, in our wording, that it was related back to the federal regulations. So, trying to remember from, I think it was like 6 months ago.
Yeah.
Does that
Thank
make
you.
sense?
It'd be a good one to follow up with the staff on to better understand. Absolutely.
So again, the same question. In October and November, as a Union Township Commissioner, you reviewed and proposed a text amendment regarding home-based occupation for firearm dealers. And in summary, the recommendation was to replace the term gunsmith with firearms dealer, eliminate the public hearing special use permit approval requirement, and prohibit certain activities that are not appropriate in a residential neighborhood as a home-based firearm dealer.
Yes, try to go through each piece one at a time. The first one we brought up was a name change. Just scrolling back to the actual discussion then. I believe it was possibly a concern about wording and clarity. Gunsmith implies someone who maybe is doing like building in their house, you know, smithing and creating the guns out of pieces versus a dealership, which is a dealer, which is what they were doing, where they were doing transactional sales. So I think it might be based around the wording for that thing for bylaws. Now, it's concerning. You know, concerns all that. It's all that things you have to know that there's going to be guns, you know, in a house or someone's doing sales like that. I think the things that I kind of weighed in my head when I was doing that is like, I check a lot of websites around here for different auctions and stuff like that. I see how much guns there are in households in general. You know, they can be placed and just owned. So when we were presented with a recommendation for someone to do an occupancy of something that, you know, I think was on the same par as a lot of people's just private collections, tried to weigh out like what is our regulation and that the same what they can use in as their home business. Now, as you brought up last time, safety. Someone coming into the house and there's a fire, dealing with munitions, dealing with neighborhoods that are, you know, what are they next to a daycare or some like type of occupational, like something like that. I mean, I would support if a recommendation by the board wanted to look at further measures that go along with this, mandated reporting, things like that. But I think those are things that should be carved out separate than what was the proposal before us. So there's concerns about safety and mandating and making sure that the people that are going to be involved, have to be around it, can know. I think it was, because I think a lot of that too is that the publicizing this could put the person that was occupying and doing the business in generally a greater sense to have like theft or loss or something like that, which could lead to like these guns coming out of control area into an uncontrolled thing. Yeah, that's. That makes sense. Any other questions or anything unclear on that?
No, thank
Oh,
you.
okay. Hang on.
I'm happy to go if someone's not ready.
Go ahead.
Ready?
Go ahead.
Planning Commission deals with sidewalks, pathways, sidewalks more, because we have a sidewalk ordinance, and that ordinance gives the planning commission some latitude to essentially temporarily waive requirement of that. It still has to be, as I understand it, this is going back in my memory a little bit at planning commission. Still has to be part of the plan. You have to show how you're going to build it, but you maybe waive that requirement to build it now for a later date, right? And where that comes from is multiple boards over the years has prioritized walkability, bikeability, et cetera, into this township. And I guess I just wanted to hear your thoughts on our sidewalk ordinance. Is there something there as a planning commissioner that would make that job easier to be consistent and effective? I guess that's enough.
That's so interesting. This is actually, if you want to talk, I mean, you might have been saying your thing, but I think we had this come up maybe 2 or 3 meetings ago. I think probably the only time I think Tom and I have ever been on a different side of an issue. Maybe even this. So if you're wanting a line to cut this in there, all right. So you guys know I talked about my father-in-law, Matt Mertz. He was a member of the township, involved in many boards. He was also at MS. Last 15 years of his life was wheelchair bound. He lived over on Bamberg, went down the street, stone's throw away. He couldn't get here. There's no sidewalks in 2 blocks from us to downtown here. So when it comes to looking at something like accessibility and the ability for the board to take their discretion about when the sidewalk needs to go in and the sidewalk can be waived, I think it's imperative. Because that's the only way we can really push things forward for a lot of people is to try to have a vision on how to expand accessibility. You know, it never hurts to have the ability to implement things that we know will improve access, improve the lives of people who are, having the hardest times, And I think when it comes to that, and I spoke a little bit more on my opinions on bylaws and regulations when it comes to how this town operates, I feel it's imperative, and I really feel like, the incident we have, I think, was one where Sacred Heart was building a new batting cage. Part of that, they wanted to waive it. Yeah, it's miles out of town. It makes sense. You don't need sidewalks there. The person who's doing the development brought it up was like, this is a town. This is a car place. No one's ever going to use anything to get here but cars. But that comes from a level of privilege. Yeah, you have a car. You don't have to ride a bike. You don't have to take the sidewalks to get there. These are considerations that need to come in for everybody. And that's, again, when I'm coming to here, I'm not going to try to come from a mindset of things are great, things are good, let's keep them great, let's keep them awesome. No, it's like, what can we do to improve for the people that things aren't great for right now? Because there's a lot of them. It's like there's a lot of people, if you go down to those apartments on the south side over there, these people need help. These people are suffering. They don't have sidewalks. They don't have access to downtown directly. Try to be living in those apartments and try to get over to Walmart. It's not easy.
Awesome. Thank you. I didn't write this question down in detail, so I'll try to ask it again. I have bullet points. But as you know, we have the sidewalk ordinance. And that actually came from the non-motorized transportation plan. And I'm assuming that is referenced in our master plan still. Okay. So as a planning commissioner dealing with that, is there an area in which you feel the township could improve how we administer, or how do we make it easier for planning commission? Because it has always been tough. When I was a planning commissioner, and we're talking years ago now, dealing with the sidewalk ordinance was always our biggest struggle. Is when do you look at temporary waiving or not? So I'd like your thoughts on it.
Absolutely. That's an interesting question, and one that I dealt with almost immediately in coming into the planning commission because it was part of our agendas. And one of the things that I found interesting and tried to better understand as I got into it. So we live over on Chadwick. We come down Pickard. We go down Lincoln to Broomfield. We take Broomfield down to Crawford, and drop the kids off at school. And every time I go by Tim Beebe's place, I can't figure out why there's this 80-foot section of sidewalk that doesn't go anywhere. And, then, thanks to Rodney and helping to understand exactly what the policy is, the global lens, walkability, accessibility, it begins to make more sense that eventually you want to have all these connected sidewalks to improve walkability and within the guidelines of the plan. Where I struggled as a planning commissioner was, well, what does that mean for the neighbor, which is, if memory serves, an open farm field? So at what point will there be enough development there that would prompt that property owner to build a sidewalk? Is it easier to just bite the bullet, pay the extra money as a developer and build your sidewalk and hope it connects to something eventually? That part for me didn't make a lot of sense. I get the big picture why, but the practical application, which I think is the heart of your question, is how do you get through that ambiguity? And I didn't fully understand why you would set aside money from a private individual into an escrow account with the township to eventually pay for a sidewalk that may never get built. That didn't make sense to me. I have frontage on Pickard Road, and maybe someday the township says I should have a sidewalk. Well, that's a pretty good section right there that's going to cost my family a lot of money to put in a sidewalk. But ultimately, if that's what the community says as part of the vision, and that's what's required as we develop, then that's what we'll have to do. Because I do agree with John on this. Accessibility is incredibly important. Before I met my wife, I lived over here on Pickard Road, and I'm a runner. And I would leave my driveway, and I would go down to Meridian, and down Meridian, and then over to River, and back up to Lincoln, and down. I met Stephanie, and she told me I was crazy because there's too much traffic there. It's unsafe. Now that I have kids, I would never do that. Right? So yes, I would love to have more accessibility there, not only for me for running, but my kids on their bikes. We're limited to our little section right there. So addressing the ambiguity about why it's important, it's largely a communications issue. But then I think there's also a responsibility on behalf of the township to help find ways to cover some of these costs, whether they're through the DDA grants or other opportunities to help cover that for a developer that wants to improve the quality of life in our community with either business and economic opportunity, residential housing opportunities, et cetera. The ambiguity, I think, needs to be addressed and clarified for people. Not only so they understand where we're going, but why we need to go there and then help and how to get there. So we don't just end up with 80-foot sidewalks that don't connect to anything.
Awesome, thank you.
My turn.
Yeah.
That's assuming there's another question.
Everyone stare at Lori.
Why do you feel you're the best candidate? Not comparing you to him, but there's a position open and there's another candidate, you don't know who he is. Why do you think you're what makes you the best candidate for the spot?
It's a great question. And as I outlined in my application, I looked at what global lens are, I looked at what the board's role is, and I believe I fit quite well within those. My experience gives me a great sense of governance, of financial oversight, of how to work together to solve problems with an overall goal of improving the quality of life in the community. And so I feel like I am very well positioned to join this board at this time. I think given the opportunity, the voters would give me a chance to extend that in the election and moving forward for the next term. If I do my job properly, then they would extend that courtesy. And that would be my hope and aspiration. I have the time and I have the ability to serve. And quite frankly, I have a very forgiving wife who will let me go 2 evenings a month to serve. And I think it provides a great lesson for my kids. So.
Thank you. Mr. Hayes?
Why do I think I'm the best? That's a question. I guess that puts a little bit of a belief in myself in there that has to be understood.
Yep.
I feel like I will bring a unique perspective to the needs of the township. One is not keyed in to, I guess I would say, the standard operating of just trying to keep the ship running. I want to come in with ideas for municipal projects. I want to see us bringing more development, more resources to the community in general. And I have the time to commit to this. I know it's beyond just 2 nights a week. Most likely it will be, I know that the previous trustee, Doctor, was also part of the intergovernmental committee, so it'll be a couple more hours of intergovernmental task where they would go to Mount Pleasant Township meetings twice a month, as well as the ones here. I have a full schedule to dedicate to this and put my resources towards it in the next 4 years. And I'd love nothing more than to try to do everything I can to really bring a perspective and a goal of. This is a tough time. You know, we can come in here and talk about minutia and bylaws and things like that, but on a day-to-day level, people are struggling to survive right now. And for me, it's hard to sleep at night. It's hard to turn that off. When I see, my kids' friends who are township residents, suffering, it's something I put into my heart every day, and it's really everything I want to bring to this township. And in this position is my voice to try to stand up and work for them. And I think that's the best I can do.
Yeah.
I feel like I'd be the best candidate for that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Did you have another one, Trustee Landon?
I'm good.
Trustee Landon?
I have another one. Don't run off, Mr. Hayes. What would you suggest to this board where could we improve to operate more effectively as the Board of Trustees?
Well, I think the board does operate very effectively. I think if I was going to honestly say what this board could do better is maybe promote what it does, promote what we're doing in this township, that it is helping people. We do a lot of great stuff. We do. And there's a lot of people out there that are constantly arguing the other side. I don't know if you guys are familiar with there's some newspaper publications, different groups out there that like to kind of drag Union Township through the mud a bit. And it hurts me as a person who serves on these planning committees and is mentioned in these articles about how we don't care, we don't want this township to do anything, and all of our rules and regulations are strangling development, when that's the exact opposite of what we see in these development meetings. When we see in these reports about how many more people need housing, want to move here, I think if we could do something is to maybe spread awareness and news about what we're doing here, to make people aware, and I think that can increase, getting better businesses coming to town, getting more people to stay after graduating from CMU, trying to attract higher income jobs. We're going to look towards, in a general sense, supporting and trying to get more grants for, economic development, things like that, for sure. There's lots of things we could do on a day-to-day minutia level to try to increase revenue coming in, increase grant funding, and things like that. But I'd say, I don't know, you guys do a good job. I think it should be put out there a little bit more.
Thank you.
That was one thing that Supervisor Milky shared with me on the phone is, one of his surprises was there weren't more people here for public comment. And I thought of that at the Planning Commission as well. Why is no one here? Why does no one have a thought or an opinion or something? He said the feedback he got was, well, people come just because they're mad about something. It's not because they're excited to say, hey, board, you're doing a great job, keep it up. And so I agree with the awareness component, because as a citizen, before getting involved with the Planning Commission, I didn't really know what my local government did, other than collect my tax bill twice a year and provide some basic services. And so learning more has been very beneficial, not only in my own understanding of what my community does, but also in my ability to share that with neighbors and friends. And I wouldn't claim to understand all of the ins and outs of this board at this point. I've read the manual, I've had some good conversations, I've served on the planning commission, but to know the level of training you all receive, the discussions that you have outside of these meetings, the visioning that you're doing, I don't have access to that at this point. And so I would hope, as part of a governance model, the board is very focused on its future. And, you know, when you look at how you've navigated this process, which seems like it sort of popped up, you know, do we do a straw poll, or do we do ranked voting, or do we do, you know, how does this work? That was a question my wife asked me on the way out. She's like, so are they gonna vote? Like, you're gonna sit in a room and find out if you got it or you didn't get it? I said, I don't know. Yeah, we'll find out. But at the end of the day, we're about improving the quality of life for our community. And if we can engage more people, I think that's a good thing. We may not always agree with one another, but engaging more people in the process creates a stronger community, because then people know what's going on, they have a voice at the table, or feel like they have a voice at the table, and can be represented properly. So I would hope, as part of my service, I would engage in a lot of different ways to learn more about other entities that are doing similar things, to bring best practices in, to communicate more with the staff and understand their role. You know, I've read the Mackinac, Policy Center articles and thought, is this the same community that I'm living in? Because it doesn't sound accurate. But, hey, you've got an outlet. I guess you have the right to share your thoughts. But I think for us, it's about engagement and getting more people involved in our community, not fewer.
Questions? I'm checking my notes here. All right, Mr. Ulver, you're up next, right? So you've been working on the master plan, the planning commission, and I realize you're not near completion at this point, but it is a process that's been ongoing. I guess I'm just kind of curious of your take on why do we do a master plan and what's it for?
Well, if you don't know where you're going, any road will get you there, right? And so this is the opportunity for the community to share its vision for where we're headed. And for that to be blessed by the planning commission and by the board, so that we can put the resources in the right places to ensure that we can get there. Not only is it about communication, helping people understand where we're going, but also a way to enlist their support in that, whether that's through the taxation that might be required for additional goals and objectives, or service in some capacity, to be able to bring, we had a sidewalks commission. Stan Shingles tells me about it all the time, and the amount of time that he spent with that. There are ways for people to get engaged and involved, and if we're moving in the same direction, then there's a much greater chance that we're going to get where we want to be, whether that's in my lifetime or my kids' lifetimes, or maybe even my grandkids, who knows. That's why you have a master plan, so that folks can get on the same page and be moving in the same direction.
Great, thank you. Would you like me to repeat it?
5-year goals. We're talking 5-year goals. We're looking at how we're going to create our vision for the township for the next 5 years. What projects do we want to implement? What bylaws do we want to change? What type of vision do we have going forward? And yeah, reading through, you got your manuals and how this is done. This is a board and a township that is very good financially. How they prepare stuff, how they separate and differentiate, put the correct doors and locks between each different fund. It's well handled. So you need to have substantial planning when it comes to municipal projects, municipal upgrades, all these things. And I mean, I don't keep tipping his hat, but like Rodney, when he comes to us, he's not only giving us a full planning agenda for ourselves, he's reviewing Mount Pleasant. And we're getting all of their little updates and all the things that he sees that could be your influence on us, So what I love is that in this township, not only is it just a planning, board looking for ourselves, but understanding we're the donut around a very busy center here. And all these maturations work together. How do we adjust the planning board for Mount Pleasant, which removed the road connecting us down here on Broadway, and get that back on, and also work with them for the rotary that they want to build downtown that
doesn't look like it's gonna have pedestrian access. All these things, very small minutia, and you need careful, detailed planning. It's great to have an influence of that, and to have a say, and to think about different issues that come up.
Great. Thank you. Anyone else?
Nope.
Okay.
I think we had a nice diverse pool of questions.
Clerk Cody? Did you come up with one, Trustee Thering? Okay. Last opportunity. All right, well, thank you so much.
Thank you. Good one.
Brings it back to this board now.
I say we write it down and give it to Terrence and Kelly.
Okay. Everybody comfortable with that process still?
Yep.
All right, so just for clarity, your first choice should go in 1, second choice in 2, or if you're not comfortable with either candidate taking the empty spot, don't write anything down. Is that accurate? Okay. I will say, we have 2 great candidates.
Yeah.
So kudos to both of you, regardless of how this comes out, because I don't know. Thank you both for being here, taking your time.
Do we need to sign it?
No.
Nope.
Thank you.
Bless you.
Excuse me. I'll be quick.
I'm glad we did this, though. I'm glad we did this,
I am too.
because I feel like I got to know each person better.
Thank you guys. Pleasure to meet you. We look forward
Oh, Mulder.
to seeing you in the future, regardless if it's out in the citizenry or. He's not like. It's all right. Sorry, he was trying to steal his thunder too. Thank you, I appreciate it.
If I'm interpreting this correctly, this is number of 1 ranks.
Yes.
Right? So for that, we have 4 1 ranks for Mr. Oliver and 2 for Mr. Hayes.
Do you want me to make a motion or something?
You can.
I'll make a motion to nominate Tom, to appoint Tom over to fill the Board of Trustees position until November 20th,
To leave. I think so.
till the next term, or,
It's a
Is it
November
next-
election.
yep,
Support.
thanks.
Motion by Cody, support by Thering. Any discussion?
Excellent candidates.
It was really hard, and after hearing everybody talk and everything, it was,
Yeah, I really appreciate both of you being here, very much.
yeah. Roll call, too.
Yeah, I think so too. Any other discussion? Roll call of the motion to appoint Mr. Oliver till after the November election.
Okay. Clerk Cody, yes. Treasurer Rogers.
Yes.
Trustee Lannon.
Yes.
Trustee Lay.
Yes.
Trustee Thering.
Yes.
And Supervisor Milky.
Yes.
All yeses.
Congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you.
So,
Where does that go from?
I'm gonna
That's
swear
where
you
that's
in
where I was
before we
going.
leave. Or like,
More meetings.
one of the things that we'll have to work out is, per our policy governance, we have a obligation for our board members to be engaged in other organizations, such as attending City Mount Pleasant Commission meetings, reporting back. Trustee Lannon currently is assigned to the county. The empty seat, which was Trustee Brown's, he was on the City Commission. We'll have an opportunity to discuss all those appointments, because there may be some people that want to try something different.
election commission too.
Election Commission is important. So there's a number of those, so I would ask that you look at that section in the policy governance. I think it's section 410 or something like that. You'll find it. Because that'll describe the different appointments that this board makes that are additional responsibilities. You'll be given an onboarding packet from the staff, which will include like policy governance. There's when is the MTA? It's coming up.
Winter workshop.
There's the
Right at the
conference.
End of this month.
End of this month. So training would be helpful. Trustee Lannon is probably the most trained of all of us. So I would use Trustee Lannon as a resource for sure. Certainly, you're welcome to talk to me. You've got my cell already, but Trustee Lannon is probably the most educated of all of us as far as township governance. What am I missing? Yes.
One detail that I'm sure Mr. Over is interested in, or
Planning Commission?
Commissioner Over is interested in.
That's what I meant to go to.
Per the State Planning Act, when, with your appointment to the board, there would be 2 board members on the Planning Commission. It means your seat on the Planning Commission is now vacant. And it would have to be filled by somebody else. So that's automatic with your appointment to the board.
What if I would like to maybe seek something different? Or is it because I'm a trustee?
Well,
Yeah,
you can decide later.
Next
but it's
week you
right
can
now it's
decide.
on.
But-
Oh, I'm
for-
sorry. I
but-
thought you meant like effective immediately before, right,
No, well,
Yeah, as of right now, it is.
as of his appointment.
I understood.
His
Yeah.
seat is currently
Yeah, my
vacant.
bad.
What you decide to do next week, if you want to change things
Yeah.
around, that's fine. But his current seat would be vacant.
Understood. Okay,
So,
my apologies.
If that's not clear and you have desire to stay on the Planning Commission, you could work with the rest of the board to say, I would like to take that as my liaison role. So think about that. That's one of those that's in that policy governance. You'll also be asked to be sworn in. Our clerk can do that. I can do that. Typically, it's our clerk that does this. And that can be done anytime, right?
Yeah, when we're
And
done.
then our next meeting is 8 days from today.
Wednesday.
At 7 PM, right here. And as soon as you're sworn in, I guess you're not an elected official, but you're an official.
Appointed.
Appointed official, right.
Thank you.
And there is a welcome packet that will be
Yeah.
available to you for that as well.
Little light reading.
I did one of the best Tim has is a consolation prize.
Yeah, I was,
We just got the nightstand.
Oh, there you go.
because the ones were too small. So now they go like 4 feet down, so I've got extra room for stacks and piles. And
There you go.
Yeah.
Perfect.
You will be given a laptop that mirrors one. They're all these, right? And that'll I'm sure will be part of the onboarding packet. And my guess is, at least this week, be working with you and Tara. Is that?
That's
Well,
correct.
you would delegate that if you need to, but
That is correct.
so he's our acting manager this week because Mark is on vacation. Notice the tie.
Does he have enough snow right now?
Yes, no,
I said, does he have enough snow to go snowmobiling?
Declares
Yeah.
me the best dad, but I don't know what the rankings are.
It took a toll uphold the
Right.
house.
I mean, within the house, if I didn't get elected to that, I'd be pretty
Yeah.
disappointed, but yeah.
And John, I still hope you run someday.
Yes.
So I hope that's part of your plans. So Trustee Therian and I told you when I was appointed in 19, there was like 9 of us up here.
Yeah.
Trustee Therian was also there that day, and look at him, he's sitting here, second term now.
Yep, but they made the right choice when they chose Supervisor Milky. so-
Oh, you're just being
Yeah.
kind now.
Well, they
You guys made a good choice here with him, and, yeah, I'm sure I'll be busy come 2028 doing something, don't worry about it.
Are we all good?
Yep.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
Do we have to do
Um,
extended public comment now?
Oh, yeah.
Yes, yeah, we're not ending business. I just didn't want to move on from the opportunity for comment from board or the applicants. So we can talk more after. Do you want to swear in tonight?
Yes.
Let's get you sworn in after the meeting. Okay. That brings us to extended public comment, which is restricted to any item. So I guess it's not restricted for 5 minutes. If you choose to address the public, please state your name and address for the record. And with that, we'll open up extended public comment at 8:46 p.m. Assuming no one's connected remotely.
Nope.
And no one here coming forward, we'll close extended public comment at 8:47 p.m. Tara. Final board member comment?
I'd like to thank Mr. Oliver and Mr. Hayes for coming forward, giving the board 2 amazing candidates to choose from tonight.
Anybody else?
Same, thank you.
And with that, our business is completed. We'll adjourn at 8:47 p.m.